The first time a girl visited her adoptive father's home, she was incredulous to discover that her adoptive father, a wealthy young man, lived in a place resembling a pigsty. Strangely, despite having a large staff of nannies, none of them bothered to clean the room. They were like a group of spectators, coughing up melon seeds. Seeing this, the girl questioned the nanny why she wasn't cleaning the room. The nanny mocked the girl, saying she wasn't worthy of giving them orders. Then, she said the girl's adoptive father was a useless person, and that he would be grateful if she gave him a bite to eat. The girl angrily approached the nanny and ordered her to clean the room within an hour, or she would have her head taken away. The rich man drove the nanny out of the city. She had no idea what would happen in this strange city. Upon hearing this, the nannies became afraid of the girl. They could only obediently clean the room. At that moment, the girl finally understood the reason for her adoptive father's decadence. He was clearly the rich man's firstborn son, yet now he even bullied the nanny at home. It turned out that the girl was the lost daughter of the rich man's second son. She had been found by the rich man a day earlier. However, her parents had already adopted a daughter. Therefore, they did not like the girl, their biological daughter who had been lost in the countryside since childhood. They were also afraid that the girl would compete with the adopted daughter for the family fortune. So, the second young master. The master refused to acknowledge the girl as his daughter. The richest man had no choice but to ask the girl to choose one of the other three young masters as her adoptive father. To compensate the girl, the richest man also promised to give her a 10% stake in the company as a gift. Upon hearing this, the third and fourth young masters immediately began vying to be the girl's father. Of the four brothers, only the second young master held 18% of the shares. If the girl chose them, they would have a better chance of inheriting the richest man's company. However, the girl didn't choose either of the two young masters. She unexpectedly chose the eldest young master, an alcoholic with disabled legs confined to a wheelchair. The girl was stunned by her choice. The young master was not only a decadent loser, but also not well liked at home. Yet, the girl insisted on choosing him as her adoptive father. She knew that the seemingly decadent young master possessed business talent and was the only person in the family who cared about her. It turned out that the girl was a reincarnated being. In her previous life, she suffered immense torture upon returning home, which left her with no desire to live. Yet, after her death, her family felt no guilt or grief. Only the young master grieved for her. Since God had given her a chance to choose again, she would never repeat her mistakes. So she decided to choose the only man who loved her as her father. However, this made the second son very nervous. If the girl really accepted the eldest son as her father, then he would become the person with the highest shares in the group. So the second son deliberately told the richest man that the eldest son had only been drinking for years and had long lost the ability to manage the company. So he deliberately gave the richest man a suggestion. Only if the eldest son snatched the largest project from the rival company would the girl accept the 10% stake. The richest man was very hesitant after hearing this, but he changed his mind and ultimately agreed to his second son's proposal. He said that as long as his eldest son took over the rival company, the biggest project, he would give the girl his 10% stake. Since the girl returned home, the young master, under her care and companionship, had emerged from his decadence. He no longer drank excessively and took the initiative to learn business knowledge.